So, very warm welcome to the April Siebel Friday for 2023. We have, despite the fact that Siebel 23.4 was, well, underwhelmingly void of features, but that's probably a good thing. We'll talk about Siebel 23.4 in a moment. There's another devpops update that I want to talk about and show you. Quite some cool things there. And yeah, the good people from endoIT are here again. They repeat customers here. Gábor and Arne are here to show you an update on the utility app they have produced a while ago. So there's a neat little update there waiting for us. Yeah, and we see as we see how we go from there. So I have a new poll there. I have a new poll up. I have some thoughts about updates, the discussion maybe of sorts. And we have a new webinar coming up for OpenUI in the middle of May. So stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff we have to cover. Okay, so let's lean back, relax, and look at this feature list for 23.4. There's no features. That's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of bug fixes in 23.4. I make it a habit to record the Tomcat version number because a lot of people ask what's a Tomcat version, because security-wise, that's probably the entry, the gateway for attackers. So Tomcat is 9070, same as 23.3. Okay, and well, that's that's it already. There's nothing more to say, but there's also something about April 2023. John Bedford has published, or Oracle, and John Bedford is the mastermind behind it, has published the new update to the statement of direction document. It's available on my Oracle support. And with permission of John and Oracle, we are planning to publish a summary on Siebel Hub next week. But there's plenty of very useful information there. We cannot disclaim it here, but make sure to download the document and get through it. Okay, so that's news for April, April 23 on Siebel. Anything to add from your side or from the Oracle side? I see it. I see some people from Oracle here. Yes. Okay, just want to give you some room here. Well,
here, but I don't want to add anything. Thank you, Alex.
Okay. So yeah, that was short. Now the next topic is devpops. You'll know devpops, I'm quite sure, if you're a regular on Siebel Fridays. Here's I'll just post the GitHub link in the chat. So the Black Sheep CRM GitHub has a lot of repositories, and devpops is the most popular repository, and just recently updated to 23.5, so in anticipation of May. That's of course not not the required Siebel release. devpops runs on any modern Siebel, but it's the May release, and there's a video out there. You can follow the link to see what's in there, and I would like to show you live. There are two main features. There's a shoelace demo. More on shoelace later. So there's a new way of generating menus and dialogues in OpenUI. And also I've been starting with an experimental way of a cross-session history tracking and history list, so you can navigate to views where you have been. It's in beta yet, but it's not ready. Let's have a look. So here I got Siebel up, and devpops, when you install it, you get this bug menu. It's, well, I use I use the bug icon to show the menu, and it has all the usual features that you know and love from devpops if you use the recent versions. And just get rid of this here. Okay, I have to zoom in a little bit. Zoom out. Okay, so that's the full menu here, devpops 23.5. You also notice there's a little rocket on the side. You can move it around. That's the new menu. So there's now a second menu. A bit confusing, but you can use either. And that's using the shoelace web component library. So it pops up a side menu of sorts, which is editable. So you can select the stuff you want. And has all the bells and whistles, so you can invoke the same methods like the X-ray functions, reset that, or even the new demo. So now you can see the menu is more structured. It has those expandable sections, and in the demo sections you have all the tech demos, the break-free demo. Let's click it. Yeah, breaks free of the grid, the applet grid. So all's operational, and there's a new demo, show history. So that gives me a shoelace dialog with the views, or actually the address, the URLs I visited in the current session. A lot been going on here. The session is quite long, and previous sessions are recorded as well. So for example, I've been on my account's ABC constructions. Let's try and click that link, and it should go there. Yes, goes to ABC constructions, and that is now the latest navigation. So it tracks the navigations. It actually takes the URL whenever there's a modification on the address. So even as you select records, that's why there are so many links here. Even when you select records, you have a different bookmark URL. It stores these, and it retrieves those when you log in, and even shows you from the prior sessions. So of course that's a little bit unwieldy. There's a search option may be needed, or some favorite options. It's one way I've been prototyping with a customer, a way to have something inside the Siebel application. You know, back in the day in the Siebel application, we even had back and how do you say that? Back button and the other go forward, forward button. We had that in the Siebel application. So of course you can just go the browser history, but the browser history is not really the same. It's a little bit different. Of course that still works, right? So we still have the browser history. So that's a feature I built in, and waiting for feedback from the field if it's useful or not. And yeah, devpops is available for 23.5 is out there on GitHub. Go and grab it. Again, please keep in mind that devpops is a purely educational collection of OpenUI samples. So you know the drill. Do not use in mission critical environments. All right. So that's it for new stuff I have to tell you about. So I would say it's Gábor's turn to show you also something that endoIT built in the utility app. So Gábor, you're presenter now. Can take over the screen. There you go.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Gábor Farkas, and I'm here to show you the Siebel utility application current progress. You may be familiar with it because Alex already made a video about the first version, but I'm here to show you the new things. Let's go to the server configuration, where you can see all the server parameters listed. This data comes from the Zookeeper because it's fast, but the Zookeeper does not give back the default data. So we implemented a cloud gateway communication And with this cloud gateway communication via REST API, you can collect all the parameters. Let's say here is the enterprise parameters, and you can see only 15 of them with Zookeeper. But with Cloud Gateway, you can see more of them, all of them. Yeah, but we implemented this way to push buttons because the component definition parameters are very, very slow. There are lots of, and it takes very long time. So, but with filtering, let's say we want to search these profiles and get these profiles, what is on the Cloud Gateway. We got the Cloud Gateway response back, and we can change the parameters here. For example, let's say we can save. And now we made some communication with the server manager itself. So we get the response what the server manager was doing. So it's like that you do it in the server manager. That's it, this tab. The next tab is the server management tab. It's also integrated with Cloud Gateway, and you can see already the status of the components. And you can change the log level for this component. Yes, or you can change the log level individually. For example, SQL trace, you can set the log level. And you have other things, start, stop the component, list task. Let's say we searching for server. Workflow process manager, let's say, and we just started a empty task. Yeah. That's it. This is also integrated with Cloud Gateway. Let's move on the compare configuration. With this compare configuration, you can work with the Zookeeper data if you are in the live tabs. Just a short recap, you can compare the enterprise parameters, and you can see what is differing between these parameters, for example, file transport folders, or you can see what is new, what is totally different between the two systems. But you can compare snapshots as well. And here in the server configuration, we have got a new button that can create a Cloud Gateway snapshot. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes. It depends on the enterprise, how many component definitions you have, or profiles. But after it, you can compare these snapshots, and it's really useful for an upgrade. For example, if you have an old environment and you get the data, you make a snapshot-like file, and you can compare to the upgraded version of the system and see what is differing. Here is a log reader tab. This log reader tab, you can push this button here on the top. If you push this, you save all of the comments what you made with the server manager. So you will save it on the file system. So now just you listed components here. If we close, we did not miss the response, because here it is, the response, and yeah, there was no task here. And the new feature is this tab, this discovery tab. Let's say this is a graph. This graph represents all of the business service and business service methods connections. The connections are what business service calls which method. So if you zoom in the graph, you can see here is the outbound communication manager send message method, and this is called from multiple methods. For example, this method, this status email method, or create opportunity send email method. This makes sense because all of the business services, which is doing some kind of email logic, is calling this send message method. Here, now I'm selecting these nodes because you can move further to inspect these methods. So here is the obey method. It has no script, but you can watch its neighborhoods who is calling him or like this. But if I move here, the data email service, you are seeing the scripts as well. So here you can move and just watch the scripts. Here is the get service, and somewhere in the end there will be a invoke method. Yeah, and this method called the OOB method. It can be useful to get an overview. What are the mostly connected dots, and when you move to a new project or a new site, you get an insight about which business service connects to where. Yeah, and there is more here. You can filter the business services. So let's say you are specifically interested in AI XML write to file business service with write AI message, redraw the graph, and here you can see only this graph and what methods are calling this node. But here you can set the depths bigger, and now you can see that this is the first level who is calling him, and this is the second level who is calling this service. So with these you can move and see what is really flowing in to this service. But let's say you have a other business case, you have to change already existing business service, and you want to know what are the effects of this business service. Here is this business service and this connected to these services. But if you move further, you can see it going very, very far, but you will get the big picture. If you change something here, it may have an effect on these. Yes, I think this was our presentation. You can get the Siebel utility application on our website. This discovery tab is not included, but here you can find out and you can request for the full version. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, wow. Thanks, Gábor. Yeah, please make some noise for Gábor and endoIT. Yeah, I see people are applauding in chat, but you're just okay. Chat goes to organizers currently. Not everybody can read it.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, amazing. Many thanks from Alexei. Yeah, it's truly great to see so much innovation there going on. And as you said, the last thing you showed, that incredible discovery application that's not included in the free version, is that correct?
Yes, it's not included yet.
Oh, not, but it will not be free, right? So it will not be in the free version.
Yeah.
But there is a free version out there with the server-side stuff that you have seen.
Yes, everything what is the cloud gateway communication and this kind of things. Mm-hmm. It needs some more work for this graph. Yeah, it contains a lot of backend stuff what is not implemented directly in the utility application.
Yeah, but yeah. True. Yeah, really awesome. Thank you so much for presenting this here, and thanks for sharing this with the community. And that's the point of Siebel Friday. If you have anything on your side that you develop that you want to share free for the community, then yeah, please contact me and we can spread the news. Okay.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much. I'll take over the screen. And yeah, so that was exciting. What else do we have? So let's start with a few thoughts. Let's continue with a few thoughts on updates, because 23.4 is not necessarily a big update, as we have seen. It's just bug fixes, but still it might be a good candidate. And to start the discussion, I have pulled out the polls I do on the YouTube channel. So I just paste the link again to remind you if you want to get the chat here. Chat is gone away. Where's the chat? Here. Yeah, so in the chat now you find the link to the polls, and that poll that I'm looking for is the version check poll, where when I took the screenshot, we had 45 votes, so it's not a representative number, but still it's an impressive vote that 22.1 or higher, including 23, is about, yeah, that's actually almost 70%, so 69%, right? Almost 70% of Siebel deployments are on 22 or 23. And that, of course, is a great number. That means people are updating or upgrading regularly. And from the responder base of 45, 16% claimed that they are IP16 or earlier, so they need to upgrade when they want to go to Siebel 23. Others just need to update. And the question of updating or upgrading, or why updating, that's a discussion I would like to do. I've put together a few points I always discuss with customers. So why go to the latest release? I hear so often, we are planning to upgrade to 22.10. And it told me last week. So I'm always questioning that. I say, well, why do you want to upgrade to 22.10 if it's April 22.23? Why not upgrade or update to 23 to the latest feature? Because the latest feature, everybody would agree, it has more bugs fixed than any other release before it, right? So that's visible in the release note. So the list of bugs fixed grows longer, and the list of remaining bugs, well, hopefully grows smaller. And likely the later version of Siebel has a higher or thus a more secure version of any third-party software and libraries. That's Tomcat, jQuery, Zookeeper, all these libraries that you have, they get updated on a regular basis by Oracle. So you have the latest version of those with the latest version of Siebel. Well, not necessarily the totally latest, but a higher and more secure version. And even 23.4 has no features, but let's say your version is 22.4, so you have 1 year of gap, 12 monthly releases, you still have features in there because it's cumulative. So you still get something, usually. Nobody updates every month, I guess, or it would be very hard to do anything else than update. And of course, Oracle is recommending to update on a regular basis. It's a no-brainer, so to speak. And if you keep the gap small between the versions, you also have less friction in the sense that it goes probably smoother than a big jump. You have more time to evaluate and test new features or test for bugs. And also your developers and the administrators get into the groove because there's more practice. They do it several times a year. So the first update is, in my recognition, is sometimes hard for people because it's the first update. How does it work? What's post-install database update? And what's that error message here? And but as I say, the more often you do it, you get into groove, you get some practice. Okay, so that's good reasons for updates. Did I miss anything? Is there other good reasons? Please use the chat. Make sure it didn't chat you direct to everyone. I hope it works. Can you chat to everyone? Is that enabled? Or if not, I will read it out. Okay, it seems something happened with the chat settings. Okay, so I will read it out. You can please use the chat and send it to organizers, and I will read it out. Yeah. So Alexei just tells me it's not enabled. Sorry for that. Some defaults changed, obviously. Yeah. So no points from the audience here. I think we're all on the same page. Updating on a regular basis is good. What about upgrading? Nick says only update when security related. Yeah, of course, that's a good stance. Why upgrading? Well, what year is it? IP16 is 7 years old now. And so first of all, why upgrade? You don't get any updates on IP16 from Oracle. So security-wise, it's probably very vulnerable. It doesn't support the latest operating system that you might want to have in your data center or in the cloud, like Windows 22 or Oracle 19c database or ATP. The browser support, Internet Explorer, really, yes. There are customers still running on high interactivity, but they really get the bill now. Technical debt galore. And of course, you miss out on all the IP17 features and higher. You don't have workspaces, no web tools, no REST API, no test automation, not the test automation that we know. Christian tells us in the chat the Tomcat stuff is really important. The email response with Outlook 365, all features that have been added in the recent years, over the past years. So yes, upgrading. I think if you're really earnest with, you want to use Siebel CRM for the next 5 to 10 years, then of course you should really, really upgrade now. And that is what probably a lot of projects, I noticed a lot of projects are starting that they have deferred the upgrade for a long time, but now it's really time. And Alexei tells us in the chat, Siebel 16 has an issue to support modern SSL TLS like TLS 1.3, SHA2 in the outbound EAI HTTP transport. Yeah, that's another good point, Alexei. Thank you. for the modern TLS versions are totally not supported. And Nick says too much custom code to apply repository updates. You mean repository upgrade, Nick? In the clinical trial management system that Nick organizations uses. Yeah, so the repository upgrade is another thing. So I will skip this. This is a diagram I use in the YouTube videos a lot. In every monthly update video, you see the upgrade paths to Siebel 23 or the update paths compared next to each other. But again, I'm not going into detail here. Also, the update steps, you can find them in any YouTube video on a monthly update. So just skipping through here, all animated, the RR update. And well, part of the update to the latest or any latest Siebel version is the repository upgrade. So the repository upgrade is optional. Here's a bit on the repository upgrade, because recently that came up on a lot, like the comment from Nick. There is too much customization to be able to apply the repository upgrade, let's say frictionless. I call it friction, because your customization in standard objects will cause conflicts if Oracle has touched the same area. Like CTMS is a good example, because there were some features in the early updates. Of course, they're still included in 23.4, so you have to, if you want the repository upgrade, you need to find a way to work around that friction somehow. Order management is another example where in 22.12, Oracle made a lot of changes to standard workflows and standard business components in order management. So if you use any of those areas where Oracle makes a change and where you made the change in the same object, the same standard objects, then you have that conflict potential and you need to work it out. That takes time. And often I hear that we don't have the time for that. We have a 2-week sprint and we have Scrum meetings all day, so we don't have really time to find out what is a conflict. So I did one case study with a customer. There's some screenshots here. So I tried to show them what happens in that repository upgrade case study I did. I modified the SISOM, modify products and services process. That's a standard workflow process that has been customized by that customer. I made some sample customizations. You see the red. Let me get the pen here. You see the red stuff here. This is a new business service I introduced in that standard workflow, and a change to a standard step. And Oracle has made changes too, so that all that stuff here has been changed by Oracle in 22.12 or higher. So when you run the repository upgrade, you practically get an IRM, you get a merge. The CIF file is imported with the merge option. And the outcome is not very pleasant. It's the custom business service, anything you add is there. The additive nature changes are there. But the connector that I moved over, so I took this connector and moved it here, and that thing is gone. So my business service is no longer connected. And all the changes in the standard step are lost. So yeah, there's only manual work that you can do. I haven't found an automated way of, or nobody ever probably has found an automated way of, please tell me, to automatically correct that conflict in a complex object such as a workflow. Same is true for applets, form applets, or web templates. Anywhere there's code or sequential coding or layout involved, it's not that easy. And Nick says classes too, and Nick says in the chat, that they estimate 6 months to take all the out-of-the-box CTMS functionality. So to recover from that friction or conflict. Okay, thanks much, Nick, for sharing this with us in the chat. Yeah, okay, so that's something that you need to consider, but that's just the repository upgrade. Of course, you probably, Nick, also you don't want to defer it forever. So that is, well, something that has to be taken into account. There's a lot of things to discuss here. On the other side, on updating, there is some trivia I put together, some things people might not know about updating Siebel. So talking about updates, anything from 17.0 to 23.4. That means you have not necessarily 17.0, but I think 18 or 19 supports it, that you can have a gap between the versions between development and RR, the test and production. So development can be on a higher version, and Oracle supports a 1-year gap. So your DR you could update to 23.4 while the RR stays on 22.4. That's the highest gap you can have. But you must defer the repository upgrade. So you can only do that after the RR is updated, because the binaries expect the stuff there. And the migration application handles all the feature differences, even if you have an architectural difference, like in the workflow or task workspace management. If your version gap has to cover that, the migration application handles it. So there's documentation in Bookshelf on that. And last Siebel Friday, we mentioned the rolling update. So Brian Kelly told us and pointed us to a Customer Connect webinar. So if you're on Customer Connect, you can watch the replay of that webinar. Oracle has demonstrated the ability of Siebel to support a rolling update without downtime. And that's, of course, also very interesting for production-grade environments. Okay, yeah, anything to add here? As usual, I want to give you some room for discussion. Okay. Yeah, even if the chat is not to everyone today, just enter in the chat. I will read it out. No comment. Okay. So Nick, thanks for giving us that valuable input from the field. So yeah, next topic is a quick info on the webinars. We have started webinars on the Siebel Hub. The last one, or the first one, was in April. The cloud webinar, Siebel CRM on the cloud. Let me quickly go to the YouTube channel. So just pasting the URL for everybody. You all know how to find Siebel Hub on YouTube, and the webinar is available for replay. So let's grab that link and put it in chat. So the webinar is available for replay. You can rewatch it or share it with people who have missed it. And we'll have another webinar in May. And there's the slide for it. The webinar title is OpenUI, Art of the Possible. So not the least inspired by endoIT and the great presentation I did last time, but also inspired by a lot of customers who still seem to struggle with the concept of what can you do with OpenUI on what levels. So do you have to redesign the complete application, or can you do, let's say, a bit by bit? Can you take a slow approach? That what is possible with OpenUI. OpenUI, we're celebrating like 10 years of OpenUI, or even more. We're entering the second decade. The webinar is on the 17th of May on Siebel Friday hour. It's not a Friday, but it's a Wednesday, but on at 3 p.m. GMT, which translates to 8 a.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. in Indian Standard Time. It's out there on the Siebel Hub as an event. Let me just quickly grab the event calendar. So if you have not seen it before on the Siebel Hub, you have an events calendar. So you can see that event here. Let me get the link in the chat. So you can pre-register here. It's not necessary to register, just show up at the time, like on Siebel Friday. But if you pre-register, you get a reminder, etc. So if you want to do that. And if you have anything to share for that kind of webinar, please contact me and we'll fit it in. Okay, that's the webinars. A new format we try out. So the second webinar is coming up. The first one was a real success. And yeah, now I want to show you a little bit around with recent things I did in the devpops demo. Let's go back there quickly. Yeah, devpops now includes a new style of side menu that is actually done with a framework called shoelace. So I haven't shown this too much, but all these components here that you can see, that big container component and the smaller components, and for example, dialogues that pop up, you see they have a distinct style. So they look very similar, look and feel. And these are web components that I generate with shoelace. So we have to talk about two things. So shoelace, and another URL in the chat for you. Shoelace is a library that uses the concept of web components. So maybe you're not familiar with web components. Everybody's talking about React and Vue.js or Angular, and those are component-based libraries. So when you want a drop-down, you don't have to put together the HTML for a drop-down. You just say, give me a drop-down with that content. So they have design systems which fully support a component-based approach. Web components is something that is, well, mentioned on the Shoelace start page. That's the framework behind the framework, and it's actually a standard supported by modern web browsers. So here's a link to the Mozilla, the web docs, where you can read about web components. So the concept is you create a template of, let's say, anything you want to show in the UI, and you can make it reusable, and it has an API. So you can modify it, and it has CSS styling options. And modern browsers support that out of the box. So that's truly a new way of using the web or configuring web applications. So I picked up Shoelace. I was intrigued by that, and I picked it up. And if you look at the example on the homepage, so there's a button. It has a certain style. It has a hover. There's no click handler, but that is actually created with one element that you create. So you add a DOM element, but it's not a button, it's an SL, it's a shoelace button. And of course you need to load the shoelace library. It's very lightweight. And this will generate all the necessary HTML. So it's a real web component for the browser. And they have a lot of components already implemented, like alerts, these alert boxes or toasts that you have, buttons, of course, carousel cards, checkboxes, the drawers that are these side menus, obviously used in devpops, progress bar, progress rings. Yeah, so it's an ever-growing list of components that you can literally use with, as you can see, with a single element that you create. Imagine how complicated it would be to create something like that, a ring which is fully configurable and stylable. So as the web developer side of me got very excited here, and so I decided to give it learn more about Shoelace, and learning is doing. So I started off by actually not creating something for Siebel, but I have this. Let me just find it. Yeah, on the Black Sheep GitHub, there's also a little app I call Siebel app, and that Siebel app is actually here. There's a video or demo. I'll show it in the video. I have no demo here. Siebel app is a complete standalone web app. It has nothing to do with OpenUI. It connects to Siebel using REST API and renders Siebel data in a very lightweight way. So it's a prototype demonstration application for an external web app in JavaScript that you can load on your mobile phone. It's just a web page, and it uses REST to communicate with Siebel. So I've demonstrated this before. That's not new. If you search for Shoelace on the Siebel Hub YouTube channel, yeah, you find this video. Let me just go here and forward a little bit. So explaining all the code changes. So I had a version of this app which looked like this. This basically is a jQuery version because I've been using jQuery for 10 years and I know my way around it, so I can generate a quick prototype UI with jQuery. And of course, that's all nice and good, but I want to have something more modern. So here's the refactored web app. And the refactoring from jQuery to Shoelace was actually very easy because in jQuery, you create a div, and within the div, you have another div, and you put some stuff in it. And with Shoelace, you just replace the divs with real components, like a tile or a button or a tab or a badge. And that was a really fun project. So there's a video, which of course you can see as an inspirational video. And you can download the Siebel app demonstration code to see how Shoelace is used in any arbitrary web app to create a modern, stylable user interface. So even for my standards, it doesn't look too shabby, I hope. Okay, so that's Shoelace, and of course now we want to see Shoelace within Siebel. And the devpops demo I did, that was already showing dialogues and menus. You could imagine redesigning the entire Siebel application. And there's one video where I describe one approach of creating a custom UX with Shoelace. It doesn't go very far. There were timing constraints. Let me go forward to that demo. Yeah, so you see here on this screenshot, you can see the menu. So the screen menu is now created by Shoelace, and it screen scrapes more or less the home page and gives you the recent records in line with the menu. And the frequently the view links, actually what's labeled frequently viewed accounts here. So this is a way of generating a different menu. And if you take it a little bit further, then let's see. Yeah, you can have, let's say, a list applet or an application that lists Siebel stuff can look like this. It's not very pretty, but it uses, or this is prettier here. Okay, yeah, this is just a matter of zooming out and in of the screen. So this is basically the presentation model of a list applet taken and generating tiles with Shoelace So you see nothing of the original Siebel OpenUI, but it's behind. That's a well-known technique. Keep the standard OpenUI hidden and render your own user experience on top of it. That is a technique used often with frameworks like Vue.js or React, and you can do the same with Shoelace. It's just a very primitive prototype I did with a screen menu and a simple navigation to show the list views in a different way. Again, but these videos and demonstration code is out there. So Shoelace, I think, is a very good example for a library that is very evolved, uses modern web standards, and developers who are OpenUI developers already and use jQuery like I did for the past 10 years can very quickly adopt it. Because React and Vue.js, they have a very steep learning curve. You need a few months to get really comfortable with it. And with Shoelace, it's a few hours. That's my personal opinion, personal experience here. Yeah, what's your experience with modern frameworks in OpenUI? Tell me in the chat or on the mic or in a poll. I have created a new poll just for the purpose of capturing the state of OpenUI customizations. And a link to the poll page is in the chat. And let me just refresh that. Maybe we have some results in already. So the question is, what is the level of OpenUI UX customization for your Siebel CRM deployment? Nick says he hasn't had any opportunity to do any OpenUI customization. Okay, but 7 votes already. Wow. Okay. And I wasn't expecting that, but let's say the less advanced is just rerun on vanilla or just a dash of custom CSS. No votes so far with that. Got serious with JavaScript, so we know what a PR, PM, PW, PL is. If you know that, you get serious with OpenUI JavaScript, 14%, and all in UX redesign with JS frameworks like React, Vue, or Shoelace, 71%. Wow. Or even creating a custom app like the Siebel app I've shown, probably more advanced, that connects to Siebel REST API. So that's not really OpenUI. That's why I put open in brackets. So some projects go the way of, well, let's not use OpenUI at all. Let's create our own app that connects to REST API. 14%. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Let me reload once more. Maybe we have some votes from you guys in there. 9 votes now. Wow, okay. Very cool numbers and very high level of customization from those 9 votes. Of course, very not truly representative numbers, but interesting to say the least. All right, I will definitely pick that up in the webinar in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for this, and please spread the word that there's a poll and a webinar out there. Okay, getting there with the YouTube update. While we are on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, let's just see the latest videos that I've added a lot of videos in the past week. So just want to give you an overview so you can watch them or share them. So of course the Siebel Friday recaps or recordings are always out there a few hours after Siebel Friday usually. The monthly update summary with the upgrade update bonus track is also monthly available. There's a repository upgrade deep dive where I digest that friction that we have discussed. There's devpops 23.5 preview. There's the webinar replay, the cloud webinar replay, and Yeah, that one is not using Shoelace, but it's also some prototyping I did with the REST API in Siebel. And the problem also in the presentation from endoIT last Siebel Friday, you saw a dashboard, and coincidentally, I was working on a similar problem. You want to fetch data from all over the place in Siebel, from business services or the data API, and display it on screen. But you want to display something on screen really fast, and then have a loading icon and convey to the user, okay, this takes a little bit longer, but when we have it, we'll update the screen. So lazy loading, progressive loading, how you call it. This is actually a new module in the OpenUI class. Now I've just finished, and it's available as a free preview here. If you have access to the OpenUI class, you get this module for free. It's a case study to generate that dashboard, and I can show you that dashboard. Let me go back to, well, I could use the bookmark links. Yeah. So here I have an account and I have a button, show the dashboard. Let's see. So you see that it's, has shown spinning globes for a short while. Of course, it's super fast because I'm the only one using that system. I retrieved data to support easy charts. You see quote chart, opportunity chart, 0 orders, 1 associated contact, 7 open service requests for that customer, ABC construction. So that's a kind of dashboard pop-up, and some content from the web, just for the sake of demo, with an iframe. So the case study takes you all through that, how to create that. And it's a very nice case study for OpenUI. It's using Siebel OpenUI standard components. It's not Shoelace. That's Chart.js here. Chart.js is a very lightweight chart library. You can use the D3.js that comes with Siebel. So if you're into that, there's a whole case study out there, 3 parts, just published recently. Okay, and as of Siebel Hub, finally, I mentioned the OpenUI training and other trainings. Just get to the... So on the cloud webinar, if you have watched the webinar, just to make you aware, and everybody who watches the recording, we still have a 50% discount on the 2 cloud-related modules, on the containers module and the Siebel Cloud Manager module. I'll put the links up in the description of the video and also in the chat as well. So there's a coupon code or a voucher code, Go Siebel 23. It's now in the chat. So until 30th of June, we have that 50% off the cloud-related modules on the Siebel Hub. So in the Siebel Hub, we always strive to provide you with the latest up-to-date Siebel training, and that includes, of course, OpenUI training, OpenUI Professional, and Basics. So if you're interested in that training, if you're interested in video training, you can just follow the links and jump to the modules. OpenUI training is available module by module, so you can take individual videos, or you can take the complete video training, which will include updates if they come. And we recently have upgraded our membership scheme on the Siebel Hub. So I'm a gold member, made myself a gold member. So you see, I got a reduced price here. Gold members have a 10% discount out of the box and gold members pay $50 per year. So that pays off very soon if you want to have training. Maybe become a gold member first and get a 10% discount on any video training that we have. Okay, stopping the marketing bandwagon here, and hope you having a good time with this Siebel Friday. Microphones are open, chat is open. Well, not fully, but please use the chat to tell me what you think, what you want to hear next Siebel Friday. Thanks very much to Alexei, Christian, Nick, who used the chat to say thank you. Okay, Erne and Gábor, many thanks for your incredible presentation. Angelos, thank you very much. Oh, Angelos, find everyone. You can, okay. Okay, people are saying thank you in the chat. And with that, I'll stop the recording.